You're listening to Let's Be Real.
Hi, welcome to Let's Be Real. Thank you for joining the podcast today. This episode, it hits me a whole nother way. I've experienced it. Um, People in my family this year and last year, we know so many people experienced it. So I just want to have this dialogue and I want us to kind of interact more on this episode. So I really need you to comment and let me know what your thoughts are, how you're preparing, um, whether you think, just what do you think? What do you think about what I'm saying? And maybe I'm just putting too much into it. Let's get busy. Um, let's jump right in. So today's episode is, are you prepared, for your parents to care for your parents? Now, you might say, how do you prepare for that? And, my parents are young. Two very good questions. But what I want to bring to your attention, what I want to shed some light on is the fact that I think we forget that we're going to age, that if we're getting older, our parents are getting older. And some of them started later in life, which means they were on their way when we entered this world. So if we are of age, and when I say of age, when we're talking about this topic, if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 50s, start to think about how old your parents are, what they're experiencing, um, and what they may experience as they get older. And God forbid there are um, illnesses, I'm sorry, in your family gene pool. So whether it's cancer or dementia or lupus, what my mom had, whether it's an accident that happens that you have no control over, whatever it is, are you prepared? Well, what do you mean? Okay, so let's take a step back. So I'm thinking about our millennials, right? Because our millennials are now like they don't, sometimes we don't even realize it. And I don't know if they realize it, but they're like at that 35, 36 age. Like that's the span of where millennials are right now. So you are a full-fledged, for real adult. Have you prepared your life, your job, your income, excuse me, your space? What I mean by space is your home, your dwelling. Like, have you thought about the fact that your mom or dad, if they're living, God willing, may need to stay with you because they can't take care of themselves, may need your financial help because they can't work. And if you don't know, Social Security, disability is really not enough if your parents had, a job making a decent income. And I pray that there was some savings. That's a whole other show. We'll talk about savings and, being sick and all what comes into that. But for this show, are you prepared? Well, what do you mean? So I was speaking about millennials, right? Now we have identified the fact that you are grown. Some of you, most of you have families of your own. So you're going about your business, you're going about your day. And for a lot of you, those that I may have come in contact with, parents that I've spoken with who have millennial children, which are their adult children, feel like they don't realize that they're grown. Like a lot of you are still expecting your parents to do for you, still expecting, and you're 30 plus, expecting them to finance certain things in your life, still pay certain bills in your life. When you get in the gym because you didn't plan or you didn't budget or you just didn't think, they have to financially get you out of that bind. Some of you are moving back home because, and I'm not talking about those that ran up against hard times. We know 2020. I'm talking in general. Those who move back home because it's tough on your own. Now, you don't want to hear the fact that your parents may have really had it tough and had to just stick it out and figure it out and make it work. But because we're parents who didn't want to do what our parents did, we take you back in, even if it's to our detriment. So you have these millennials that their parents are still doing, and I'm going to say it, way too much for these young people. You are adults. Your parents should not be um, paying your cable bill, uh, having to give you money for rent. Again, a one-off. You lost your job. You're going through some hard times, whatever the case may be. Mom and dad, can you help me out for a month or two? This is my plan, and you are working your plan. But if you got a job that's not paying it, and you don't have a second job, and your mother, father, whomever is paying some of your bills, furnishing your alcohol, whatever. You go to events and they're bringing the items instead of you're like, Mom, I got this, and you're bringing whatever needs to be brought. Now, I know the parents of today want to do a lot. I don't know if it's out of guilt or if it's out of, well, my parents didn't do it and it's the right thing to do, and if we can help, let us help. I'm not talking about helping. I'm talking about hurting and hindering, because sometimes we have the best intentions, but the kids are not prepared. The young adults are not prepared for what's to come. They're not prepared for what you're going to need from them, because you're handicapping them. You're every time they fall into a rut or they need something, here you go. And why should they plan accordingly if they know that you're always there to bail them out? If they know I can always come to you for the extra or the lack or the missing, or I overspent. You have some young people who have not left home. Now, if there was an arrangement and you're saving for a house and you're helping around the house and everything's good, do what you got to do. But there's some young people who are living the lavish life on their parents' dime, and they don't even realize what the parent is enduring. And now, again, I'm not talking about the parents who have surplus, but there are some parents who have enough. But now that that kid is there and an adult and soaking up more resources and not putting anything in, or not even doing the bare minimum of just helping around the house, you got to talk to some of these parents and get them to tell you their truth, because they will tell you some of them can't even afford to get sick. We know of one who couldn't even go on disability because he had been sick before and exhausted his disability time. I think it's like FMLA, family leave, had exhausted all of his retirement because the young adults, his adult kids, were in need all the time. So he was constantly pulling out to give, to give, to give. Now he's sick. He has no finances to reach back in and get. The kids were so used to him giving, they don't have anything to give him. But you know what we have, millennials? You have resources of time, energy, yourself. So even if you didn't have the financial resources, you can figure out what to do to help your parents get government assistance. And then you can be there and do the physical work, the supportive work. Then we look at just that me generation. I get that you have a lot going on. I get that you all have your own lives and your families, and you're struggling to do what you need to do. This is why I said, have you prepared? Some of us just go through life and say, well, you know what, I want to try this and I want to try that. And don't get me wrong, try whatever you need to. I want you to live your best life. But realize that parent that took care of you and that is still supporting you right now, whether it's an encouragement, emotional support, financial, physical, whatever that support is, they're supporting you. So now what happens when they need your support? Can you? Can you be there with them after surgery and they need you to physically feed them, maybe even bathe them? Or can you pay for someone to come over and do it for you because maybe you're a guy and you don't want to bathe your mom? Even though you have your life to live, even though you have your own things going on, you have to remember that your parents are aging and they may need you to come and help. And here's another caveat. If you're not an only child, You should not be the only one who has been assigned to take care of that parent, whether it's just let me check on them, let me just see if they need anything, any help around the house, mowing the lawn, shoveling some snow, whatever the case may be. Let me bring them some groceries. Then you have those who are ailing and sickly. You should not be the only one that has to run over there and clean the house, run over there and change sheets, run over there and, whatever the case may be, feed, whatever. That is a group effort if there's more than one sibling. If those parents had more than one child, it shouldn't be on one child, one young adult to do all the caring. So I threw that out there for you because I noticed that in every family there's that one person that's just responsible and has to hold down the fort, and they shouldn't have to because guess what? Then that person gets tired and worn out, and it's just not fair. So if you are a sibling and just be true to yourself. You know that you're not holding up your end. You're not just you're not helping. You're not giving your fair share. Just start. Just go to other siblings and say, you know what, my bad that I wasn't there. What can I do? Because before you know it, and I pray it'll be a long way off. It's I don't know, I think it's 21 years that I've lost my mom and 27 that I've lost my dad. So if your parent is here, don't begrudge them that you have to help them. I don't care if you got to work and you're tired. Get your freaking behind up. Go see what they need. Check on them, and then go home and get a nap. Because guess what? Whenever you need something, it doesn't matter how tired they are. They're gonna get there. They're gonna make sure that they sacrifice whether it's time, rest, finances, whatever it is, to help your sorry behind. So I don't want to hear any more about young people. I don't care if you're in your 40s, in your 50s. Do what you got to do for your parents because they did what they had to do for you. Now, again, there are some parents that was not there for their children. And if you feel like, you know what, I don't have it in me, that's between you and God. I'm not going to tell you to suck up whatever happened to be there for them. You got to do your own soul searching for that. I'm talking about the ones that were there and the ones that are there. Even if they wasn't there the way you wanted them to be, if they were there in the best way they could be there, help them out. Start preparing. If you have not thought about this, think about it now and prepare because it's going to happen. They're going to need your help financially or physically, emotionally, spiritually, but they will need your help in some form or fashion. And they should not have to wonder what's going to happen to them at that point. Prayerfully, you'll be able to step in and help. And let me just tell you, caring for an ailing parent is hard in itself, but preparing and caring for a sickly parent, whole nother ball game. It is taxing on the person that is the caregiver. Like they need support while trying to care for that parent. So that's why if it's more than one of you, you have to bind together and you have to take turns because it's a lot of work. Work that we should do with a smile on our faces, but it's still a lot of work. Like, because once that parent is there, you're going to wish you were able to do the work. So I just admonish you, my millennials, I don't know, Gen X maybe is the one beneath them, whomever you are, 18 and above, if your parents are living, start preparing for the time when you're supposed to help them out and take care of them. If you're older and it's that time now you haven't prepared, just start thinking of how you can be there for them. And please do not give me that me excuse about what you have going on. We all make sacrifices. Figure it out. Figure out how to get your work done, to get your rest, and be there for your parents. And sometimes it means I'm going to have to sacrifice a little rest, but don't worry, it'll be time and we'll make it up. And I know they say you can never make up rest, but you know what I mean. We figure it out. But don't leave it up to other people to step in because you're doing you. Again, I want to know what you felt about this podcast. I want to know your comments, whether you agree, disagree, maybe some other points. And don't forget to like and share the podcast and the YouTube channel. Until next time, keep it real.